Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about Activision Blizzard and Microsoft might be a done if the deal doesn't go through. Right, one saying one thing, one saying the other, both kind of bluffing here. We do these standalone topics 4 days a week right here on 30 NSG, live starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this type of content, please make sure you hit that like button. It's a great way to help the video and the channel out. I give you the topic up front so you can just get the info that you want, and then you can go on without your day. If you want to stay for the conversation in the live stream, you can. We discuss the topic with live stream each day, and then we talk about other topics later in the show. So let's get started. Now, I'm going to read an article from VGC. And the heading is, Phil Spencer says Xbox will exist even if Activision Blizzard deal is blocked. He says, quote, "It's not some linchpin to the long term." Now, Microsoft head of gaming has said in a proposed $69 billion Activision acquisition, it's not the linchpin of the future of Xbox, and that the gaming arm will continue to exist even if the deal is blocked by regulators. Okay. Phil Spencer was in the UK this week and talks of with the competition of the market's authority. Following the European Commission hearing in which he defended the proposed deal amid the concerns it could harm the competition, particularly where the games like Call of Duty exclusive to the platform, which it's not going to be. Now, the Times asked Spencer what would happen if Xbox should an important acquisition be blocked by the regulators, and to which responded that the gaming business was not dependent on the completion of this. He says, quote, "This is an important acquisition for us, but it's not some linchpin for long term. Xbox will exist if this deal doesn't go through," he said. Now, much of the regulators' concerns around Activision Blizzard deal have focused on how it could allegedly reduce PlayStation's ability to compete, given that it would also see Microsoft gain ownership of Call of Duty series, which Sony has called irreplaceable. Now, I'll go more into what Sony's problem is with if Microsoft gets it, because they keep pushing on the Call of Duty, and Microsoft is pushing more for the mobile market. Okay. So Spencer said he was baffled by the regulators were seamlessly protecting the console firm, which is Sony, which it claimed in press conference last week controls a 70% market share in the console business. That's Sony. Sony's complaining about Microsoft, and Sony is a 70% market share in the console. Now, Microsoft recently said it had offered Sony a 10-year legal enforcement contract to make each new Call of Duty game available for PlayStation the same day as it comes to Xbox. Quote, "Competition to us is tried and strong," Spencer told the Times. "I don't have a great rationale for how better competition in the console is somehow hurtful for consumers." He continues and says, "Because to me, having us, Sony and Nintendo doing well in the console market, all of us with strengths and uniquenesses in the content, our capabilities giving consumers more choice." Now, he also continues and says, "I hate to see consoles go to where phones are, where there are only two manufacturers, and right now we have three good competitors." Okay. In addition to the regulatory concerns around the competition in the console market, potential influencers on the cloud gaming market is also being explored. Given the complexity of the investigation, Spencer said he feels sympathy for the regulators. Quote, Phil Spencer said, "Most of the time in my career, Xbox, as I've met government regulators, there's been real lack of knowledge about the gaming industry," he said. He continues and says, "I've appreciated spending time with them, in certain cases helping to educate them, and I think for a lot of regulators, this is the first time they've looked into this industry." Now, in CMA Phase 1 response, Sony makes an interesting claim that the third-party franchise like Call of Duty is adversarially help fund first-party game development, implying that without the hits like Call of Duty, Sony may not be able to serve up high-profile first-person games. Now, I want to kind of break that down just for a second, right? Now, obviously, it's not saying without Call of Duty, we can't make any first-party games. But their claim is that Call of Duty makes so much money that they take that money, and you could do what you want with your money, right? Like, if I get a bunch of money, I could choose how I want to spend it by getting other exclusives from other third-party games or putting that money towards the first-party games, which is understandable, okay? But the way they say it will help fund first-party games development, implying that without the hits of Call of Duty, like Call of Duty, okay, and other games too, but Call of Duty very specifically, Sony may not be able to serve up high-profile first-person game or first-party games. that last sentence, Sony may not be able to serve up high-profile first-person games, is just laughable to me. Okay, and I'll show you one. I'll show you one reason why that's laughable to me, because here's a chart. Here's a chart of PlayStation first-party franchise sales. Now, obviously, I know that all these sales are at full price. There's on sale prices and whatnot. But Horizon Zero Dawn, 20 million copies. God of War Reboot, which was the 2018, 28.1 million copies sold. The Last of Us, just the first one, 30 million copies sold. Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales total, 33 million copies sold. Uncharted, 41 million copies sold. And Gran Turismo, 90 million copies sold. Okay, so for a company to say straight up, if we don't have Call of Duty, we can't fund our first-party games, then there's a bigger issue here with Sony on how they're distributing their money and where their money's going. Because let me just give an example. I gave an example of this in Discord yesterday. If God of War makes $100 million, or if God of War was $100 million budget, let's just say it was. We don't really actually know. I think some of the terms say it's $44 million, but I'm going to give them an additional $60 million on top of that. So it cost them $100 million to make God of War, okay? And then let's say it cost them another $250 million to or another $200 million on top of that. So it's $300 million total for advertisement and marketing and shipping and all the stuff they had to do, right, for the marketing of it. That's $300 million budget total. It went to go on and sell 20 million copies, 11 million copies, I think, in the first month or so, okay? Which is like somewhere along the lines of $600 million, which is already double the price that they already made. So to take that $300 million and say that that money that's coming from their own first-party game is not going back into that first-party game or other first-party games is laughable to me. I'll continue. Okay, the actual stat that they talk about here, okay, they say the fourth Microsoft, this is from the confidential contents business secrets, this is from the documents, it says, Microsoft's foreclosure strategy would cause Sony Entertainment to lose significant revenue, diminishing its ability to fund further investments. Now, I get that, right? If they have that, they have to pay money towards Microsoft now to have Call of Duty, so they're giving money to their competitors, right? Totally understand that. It's not like it's unheard of before. Okay, PlayStation users that play Call of Duty generate around blank percent. They don't show you the percentages blacked out. Total of spending around blank billion on hardware peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. The loss of all significant proportions of this users, together with the association revenues and profits, would severely diminish Sony Entertainment's ability to incentive to invest in future hardware innovations and gaming technologies. The Cornerstone Research and RBB economics estimate that the switching rates of blank percent, because again, they don't show it, could lead to blank reduction in Sony Entertainment's profits. And this last line that they have in the thing, it says, this would also reduce the potential return of producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing Sony Entertainment's ability to incentive the investment of new games. So let's be very generic, okay? If you right now are a Sony PlayStation fan and you're not playing Call of Duty, well then your first-party games are going to diminish. God of War 3 is not going to come out, or it's going to be very, very subdued, even though God of War Ragnarok sold 11 million copies in like 2 weeks, okay? It's not going to have a budget like it had next time, okay? It's going to be a much worse game if you don't go buy cosmetics from Call of Duty right now. So go out, Sony Playboys, okay, and go buy as many Call of Duty microtransactions as possible and battle passes if you want God of War 3. If you want Horizon Forbidden whatever, if you want Spider-Man 4, if you don't buy Call of Duty stuff, Sony's not going to get any of that, or you're going to get a dumbed-down version of those next versions. Please. Please. Okay? Let me continue. We have to wonder just how much money Sony makes from Call of Duty alone, because they don't tell you. It's blanked out. Okay? But the argument could be made that any of games sold on PlayStation Store could technically help fund their first-party titles. Sure. Certain things in stores sell better than others. And again, you could take the money that you want from all the things that you make and spend it how you want. But to say that Call of Duty will diminish the first-party sales where each of your first-party titles are $1 billion copies sold, like total revenue sold of each one. Horizon over $1 billion, God of War over $1 billion, Spider-Man over $1 billion, Gran Turismo over $1 billion, Uncharted over $1 billion. Okay, then again, not every franchise sells 25 million copies in 1 year. Sure, that's third-party games. Okay, now the Sony's first-party exclusives apparently can't turn a profit. According to the CMA, it looks like Sony is so dependent on third-party releases that they can't turn out their first-party games without them. That's mind-boggling to me. Or, at the very least, Sony wouldn't be able to deliver the same level of quality of first-party games without the third-party game purchases. This means that losing out against Microsoft, potentially leaving Call of Duty off the table for Sony's line of console platform, could diminish Sony's ability to invest in the thrilling new experiences for their players. That might be quite surprising for some fans to hear, as Sony has quite massively popular line of exclusive IPs and sell incredibly well. Again, it seems that Microsoft is looking to do everything it can to secure this deal, even if it means ensuring competitor platforms will receive Call of Duty games well after the current life cycle of PlayStation 5 platform. At any rate, we just have a monitor the acquisition progress. Likewise, it should be interesting to see how much of a hit, if any, Sony might take when it comes to first-party video game titles, and then end up losing access to Call of Duty video game franchise. First of all, they're not going to lose the Call of Duty franchise. If anything, let's just say they're making, and I'll make a comparison of buying Call of Duty from GameStop, you as a consumer, the like a used copy, the companies are not making their money, right? But that's not what's happening. Call of Duty is still being sold. So if I just buy a brand new copy from GameStop, if it's an exclusive title, they're getting a percent, these guys are getting a percent, everyone's getting a percent. But now if I make it digitally, okay, that company makes the additional 16 or 22% more on that game. So now let's say Microsoft owns Call of Duty. Call of Duty is on PlayStation because it's not coming off PlayStation. They want to sign a deal, but Sony is trying to make it sound like, well, they're trying to take it away from us. And even with this deal that they put it on PlayStation, because we have to pay a percentage to Microsoft, we won't be able to afford the next God of War. Okay? Both of these sides are ridiculous, right? There's claims that Microsoft will sell Xbox if they don't get the Activision deal. And the other side is saying if we don't get Call of Duty, if Microsoft buys Call of Duty, then we can't make first-party titles anymore, or as good first-party titles, or less first-party titles. So what happens if the deal gets blocked? As per current contract, we know that Microsoft will have to pay Activision a $3 billion fee if the merger is not completed by June. Okay, so they lose $3 billion. That's what Sony is trying to do. They're trying to stall them so Microsoft loses $3 billion is what they're trying to do. Okay, so in likely that Microsoft and Activision will negotiate an extension if it looks like the FTC has a strong administrative case, okay, that the FTC will withdraw the case and set out the immediate concessions to close the deal. But what if it doesn't happen? The regulators like the FTC, the CMA, or the EC choose to block the deal. Microsoft will have to fight the FTC and the European Commission, but the CMA's decision won't be easy to overturn. Based on everything we've seen, Microsoft is indeed willing to fight for the merger. Okay? If all else fails, Microsoft has denied the merger proposed by regulators, then what? It's hard to say, but some industry figures reportedly believe that Microsoft could make a drastic decision and sell Xbox division. Now, I want to bring this up for a second. Okay. I want to bring this up for a second because this is Microsoft's revenue breakdown by product. Okay. To look at this, okay, gaming is 10%, 10.5%. Okay. In the second quarter of 2022 is 5.4 million because these are in millions in the percent. So 10.50. They still have enterprise services, devices, LinkedIn. Okay, office products is at 21%, others at 2%, search advertising is at 5.9%, service products and cloud services is 31.7%, and Windows is at 12%. So I want to look at this one real fast. Windows, which is basically on 90% of everyone's computer, okay, is the operating system's at 12%, and gaming's at 10%. So you're telling me they're going to get rid of the gaming division, which is almost, if not more at this point, higher than the Windows usage percent of sales for Windows. Okay? I seriously doubt they're just going to toss away Xbox after paying $7 billion just a year and a half ago for Bethesda and for all the acquisitions they're making, and to get Game Pass across all the boards, across all the things that they're trying to get Game Pass on, right? So it's very laughable to me, okay? So sources have apparently told Video Game Chronicle's Andy Robinson that they believe that Microsoft could exist in the gaming business and sell Xbox if the deal falls through. Now, here's what VGC chief said on Twitter. He says, quote, regardless of Spencer's words, I know a lot of industry pundits thinking that Microsoft selling off Xbox is genuinely possible, or a possibility, should this be blocked. Quote, he puts in, I still expect it to go through with the concessions, okay? He says, capitalism has proven time and time again that controversial logic really doesn't matter much in the graph, doesn't point up enough. And we've talked about this all the time. If the businesses are not doing this, right, it's a failure, even though they're making billions of dollars. They're just not making all the billions of dollars, okay? He says, I don't expect it to happen, but I can say with authority that some important people do. Now, who are these important figures? Who knows for sure what journalists don't reveal their sources for good reasons, because they don't want to lose the sources? Likely that group of pundits is a mixture of video game analysts and others who have higher level knowledge of the industry. And again, Robinson isn't the source of reports. He's just reporting what he's heard. He's blocked his account since then, okay, since he's put out the stuff. Now, Microsoft owned Phil Spencer has said that Xbox eventually becoming unattainable without more mobile content, and that the Activision Blizzard merger would neatly solve Xbox's smaller presence on the mobile platform. See, that's the end goal. What I find funny is that we, and I say me and Sarge on Generation X Gaming spoke last year on that it's not about Call of Duty, it's about the mobile market. Well, everyone was talking about Call of Duty, okay? And now we have multiple articles and multiple journalists talking about how it's about the actual mobile device, the mobile market. This is why Microsoft is making a move with Game Pass to try to move it to 3 billion devices. This is why they're trying to make Game Pass that Microsoft Windows operating system, but for other revenues. On your Samsung TV, you want to play video games, you're going to go to Game Pass. If you're going to go to your phone, you're going to go to Game Pass. This is what they're trying to get done. Now, would it make sense for Microsoft to sell Xbox? No, not in any way, shape, or form. Now, could they? Sure. Google drops things all the time, okay? And I have said in the past that in 5 to 10 years, Microsoft or Sony might not even exist anymore in the form that we know. They could go the way of the Dodo. They can go away of the Sega, okay? Sega doesn't exist anymore. Atari doesn't exist anymore in the same form that they used to exist, okay? Within a blink of an eye, a bigger company can come along, buy a company, and then automatically be that. We talked about this years ago when Apple was rumored to be picking up Sony, and they wanted to buy Sony. Cash money, because Sony was hurting, okay? And now we have Microsoft is in the same situation where they potentially could do the same thing. Well, I think Sony is still in a worse situation, because if they need a third-party game to fund their first-party games, then where's their money management going, and what are they spending their money on, okay? So there's a lot we don't know about business, because Microsoft typically does not reveal any key info about it, right? Either does Sony. However, Microsoft has spent quite a bit of money establishing rich cross-platform ecosystems of games, products, and services, including multi-game subscriptions and bridge consoles and PCs together, and a powerful cloud streaming platform. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. If you like watching this after the fact, or if you're here in the live chat right now, let me know what you think. Put it in the comment section down. Put it in the live chat. Please make sure you hit that like button. It does help the channel and the video out. And if you watch this long, I do appreciate you. And if you didn't like the video, but I hope to see you on the next. All right. So what's going on, chat? What do you think is happening here with Microsoft saying that potentially analysts are saying that they could just throw out Xbox to the curb because they don't pick up the mobile market? It's not because they're not picking up Activision Blizzard. It's because they're not picking up King. Okay? But think about this, right? They don't want to separate everything. They want it all or nothing. Okay? So it's not like they just want to buy King. They want to buy everything. So let me see what you guys are saying in chat here. Okay. I personally think this is a laughable moment here. Morning, Jesse. Morning, Stealth. Morning, Travis. What's going on, Big? What's going on, Sarge? Sharon, good morning. Who else is here that I haven't seen? Let me see. I guess I can go to participants. It's actually probably better, huh? Travis, Sharon, Jesse, Apex, Sarge, Stealth. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in chat here. There's more titles missing, like Ghosts of Tsushima and Days Gone, etc. Exactly. There's so many first-party titles. And as a business, like 101, right? If I make one product, okay, and that product makes 10 times the amount that I actually spent a budget on, okay, you would take that money and then put it back towards the actual product if you're going to make a second product of the thing. And then you're also going to take the other money and to invest in other projects, right? You would think they would take their first-party titles, their IPs, right? The 7, the 8, the 10 IPs that they have, they're all successful. They're all selling over 10 million copies at $60, now $70 a pop. That's $700 million, okay? And it only costs them, because the games are not like movie productions, right? Not all games cost the amount of Grand Theft Auto 5, where it costs $250 million. Not all games cost of like Star Citizen, where it costs $500 million, okay? They're roughly somewhere between 60 million and, like, let's say 150 million. And even if it was 200 million and you triple that, okay, let's say they needed to make $600 million back. They did it. They doubled their profit with making $1.2 billion over the course of what it is, right? That's just one game. And each game has done that since, because they make good first-party title games. Hey, Jesse Mack says, I can't just believe Sony's franchise sells way, way higher than the first-party exclusive titles are made a bunch of sales from Sony PlayStation. This is unreasonable. Right. What BS? Is that you mean superior to Xbox in every way? It is. But it is, Travis. This is you're saying that to Jesse as a Sony fanboy, right? Not just as a factual thing. Sony sells more consoles, and their first-party titles sell more than the first-party titles that sell for Xbox, right? Right? These are facts, okay? If they're better or not, that's besides the point. What we're talking about here is Sony's first-party titles sell well on... Well, technically, they don't sell well, because there's 146 million PlayStation 4s out there, and I think 30 million. So you have like 176 million PlayStations out there between the 4 and the 5, and yet you're only selling 10%. Not even. You're selling less than 10%. You're selling like 7% of your total market to your first-party titles. But regardless, selling 10 million copies and 15 million copies and 20 million copies of your first-party titles, to say that they don't fund themselves to put back into Sony is just laughable. Sharon says, I am a Sony fanboy and I don't own a single COD or PlayStation series. Yeah. Right, but you're the majority, Sharon. You're the majority, because the majority of PlayStation people don't own a first-party title, right, of PlayStation. Don't say it funds them. Say it's like we want Call of Duty so Xbox doesn't ruin it like they've ruined everything else that we've touched. Regardless, to say that Xbox ruins certain things, they're a hands-off a studio if it's first-party titles, right? They're a hands-off. They let them do it themselves and let those companies burn themselves. 343 doesn't need Microsoft's help. They're ruining themselves by upper management, right? And we already know that Activision Blizzard already has a terrible time with upper management. Yeah, I saw that, Stealth. Game Pass is available in 40 new countries today as previewed, but they're going to sell it. They're going to sell the division, though, Stealth, right? They just don't want to pay Microsoft royalties for COD. Oh, exactly. They don't want the percentage, right? Because right now they're making, let's say, they're paying Activision that 20%. Let's just say it's 20%, 15, 20%. Maybe it's 30%. Who knows? But if Microsoft picks that up, then that 30% is going to their competitors, and they're making more money off of them. And they don't want to do that. I don't have a teleport machine. If I did, I teleport you and Sarge come to dark chocolate brownies I just made. Oh, nice. That sounds delicious. That made me thirsty, though. Glacier water. It's not really glacier water. It's well water. Best goddamn well water. Microsoft sells off Xbox. I mean, anything's possible, right? Activision's being bought up by $70 billion. I just don't. Who's buying, right? Who's buying Xbox? And here's let's entertain that for a second. Who's buying Xbox? Okay, Apple. Apple will buy Xbox. Just the division of Xbox. Or Amazon buys Xbox, right? Or Google buys Xbox. And one of those companies, or Tencent, buys Xbox. And then they buy, right? Then they buy Activision Blizzard. Like, what's the difference? I mean, I got to remember when it comes to companies who makes consoles, is Sony, Nintendo, Sega, Atari, Xbox, in that order. No, I think it's Nintendo, Sony. Now, if you're talking about single systems, right, like the market right now, it would be Sony. But overall picture, Travis, Nintendo actually outsells Sony because every single system, it's like Sony, Xbox, Sony, or I'm sorry, it's like Sony, Nintendo, Sony, Nintendo, Sony, Nintendo. But the numbers sold from all the mobile devices and stuff, Nintendo's actually the better one. But no one ever brings up Nintendo. No one ever brings up Nintendo. But for single sales, like right now, the most popular one is Sony. Sony buys Xbox. Sad reality is most people don't want to realize in the video games is what we have. You done at me lately business. As huge Sony fan, I still got to ask, what has Sony done for Activision Blizzard lately? What's going on, Predator? That's Sony's fault for relying on an IP that doesn't even own Microsoft's restructure of the whole company. Exactly, Predator. Imagine having a successful business. Okay, you make all your in-house games that are very successful in the overall picture of gaming. Okay, and yet you rely on a third-party game that's not, like, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Now, it's not saying that they're not going to make no first-party titles. They're just saying that their first-party title games will struggle or be less quality because of Call of Duty. So that 30% that's going over to Xbox if they buy it out is that your next God of War, your next Horizon Forbidden whatever, Spider-Man, Uncharted, any of these games are going to suffer now, or a new first-person IP like Wolverine is going to suffer because of Call of Duty. It's going to big Microsoft and Nintendo is going to big one for them. Just saying. Now, go the way of the dodo. Wait for the dodo is still around. Is just called Deraclaw. Krebsy says, I think the journalists are shit and don't know what they're talking about and misconstruing information. Well, Krebsy, I read it, and then I kind of break it down, right? I didn't read it for just as fact as what they're saying, right? The quotes that they're saying, if the actual quote is, and let me bring this back up because it's inside the actual. Where's the document? Right, the document of the confidential content business secrets, right, which is the document that they submitted to the court, is Sony talking about it. This would in turn also reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing Sony Interactive Entertainment ability to incent the investment into new games. That's from Sony themselves. Okay, that's from themselves. So it's not like they're taking out of context. They're reporting what it is. And Sony's saying that if they lose Call of Duty, they're going to lose a huge chunk of money where they can't make first-party title games. So throw that money into first-party title games. And what I was telling you yesterday, okay, and I know you're typing and I'm talking, and it's kind of unfair, but the amount of money they make from God of War, the first one in 2018, okay, right off the bat, in the first 3 months, they sold like 20 million copies. Okay, that's literally $1.2 billion of revenue that they scoop up. The game costs, I'll give them max with advertisement, with distribution and everything, $300 million. Right, so they made $700 to $800 million profit. Okay, meaning that they could take that money that they made off of that and put it right back into the next one. Especially since 3 months after they made the first one, they already started development of the second one. Okay. It's not like they're waiting for payments to happen. They're making the money right instantaneously, and then they're investing it back into companies. And again, they could take whatever they want from all the pools that they make the money in and distribute it evenly across the thing. But to say a third-party game is going to be funding your first-party games when your first-party games are making tons of money to invest in themselves is laughable. Maybe Sony shouldn't take the money and invest into making special deals with games to make exclusive content for 1 year or exclusive content for 2 years. Maybe that's what's hurting them. I was saying if Sony fanboy and a consumer, bullshit, if they're interested in making money, you're not hands off that sample. That's simple. What's going on, Water? Most titles I play on the PlayStation are first-party titles. I find it complete BS that COD makes most of their money for their first-party titles. Well, it doesn't make most money. They're just saying that it makes an enormous amount of money that they use to put towards their first-party titles to make their first-party titles better. That's what they're implying, right? And then Microsoft. Look, I'm not taking either side of either side, right? I'm in the middle here. Microsoft saying that if they don't go through with this deal, they're going to sell off Xbox is pretty bullshit. Okay, they're like, well, if we don't get this deal, I just don't know how we're going to make it. I know. Take the money that you were going to spend of $70 billion and throw it back into your companies to make better first-party title games. I don't know. That's a thought. Right? And then you have Sony saying, well, if we lose Call of Duty, which they're not, but that small percentage that Microsoft will get, instead of paying the bill to Activision, they're now paying the bill to Microsoft. That percentage that they're giving to Microsoft, that percentage is not good enough, right? Because they're still making the same percentage, right? They're still making the same amount of money. They're just giving that percentage now instead of Activision. It's going over to Microsoft. So what percentage are they losing here, right? Instead of going here, it's going here. They're still making the exact same amount of money, but now they don't have enough money to put towards their first party. They're both playing coy here. They're both being, well, Judge, if Microsoft gets Call of Duty, God of War 3 is going to be less and lackluster. And Microsoft's like, well, if we don't get Call of Duty, then we're going to have to be on the side of the road selling off our assets here. Dreamcast greater than every Xbox console to date. I'll one up you, Travis. I think Dreamcast is better than all systems. It was way ahead of its time, had great games on there. And if Dreamcast could survive, okay, if Dreamcast today was winning in the competition, I guarantee you Sega Dreamcast would be more popular than Sony and Xbox combined. Now, with the Steam Deck, people are going to need to choose or first-party Nintendo games or more powerful portable devices without Nintendo's first-party titles. What if they decide to make a Fortnite Xbox only and will act the same? Maybe. Fortnite is an Epic game. How will that happen? They buy, right? Let's say they buy Epic. Who knows, Ford? Anything's possible. If Xbox is going to sell off their division, then anything's possible. I mean, we're just fantasizing here about stuff. Sony has needs to do make first party games, then making an exclusive stuff. They're losing their a bunch of money on it. I think the problem with them saying that is, again, if they make, let's just say they make 50% of the profits of Call of Duty right now, right? If they make 50% of the Call of Duty profits right now, whatever that is, if it's a microtransaction, if it's a battle pass, if it's the actual copy of the game, let's just say it's a 50-50 split, and they make 50% and Activision makes 50%. Now Microsoft takes that 50%. Now they're paying Activision, but that's going to Microsoft. How does that make a less game if they're still getting the 50% of their profit from Call of Duty? You know what I mean? How does that do it? How does 50% get shortened to smaller when they're already getting 50%? And that 50% is still going to be sold. They're still getting Call of Duty on PlayStation. Microsoft is not taking away from that. They've said that 1,000 times. They want them to sign a 10-year deal. But PlayStation's saying, oh, no, if we lose Call of Duty, then we can't fund our first-person games. Well, they can. They still can do the first-party games because they're still getting the same amount of money, projectively. We don't, I'm just saying that out loud because I don't know what the deal is, but they're still getting the same percent. They might even get a better percent because Microsoft wants to make money back fast, right? So they want to put it out there. They're like, all right, if you want 80%, we'll give you 80%. We'll take 20%. So fun topic time. But which world did you enjoy more, Hogwarts or Red Dead 2? It's tough. It's tough, Travis. I'm gonna say Red Dead Redemption 2 still, because I like Westerns and I really like the world that they built, but the story to me and living in that world of Red Dead Redemption 2, Hogwarts is a fantastic game, but and comparing it to Red Dead 2, I would have to compare it to Red Dead 1, and Red Dead 1 still captivated me more than what Hogwarts did. But then again, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. Also, Epic used to work with Microsoft. They developed their Gears series for a while. Yeah. The amount of money made by the Unreal Engine wouldn't let that happen. Not to mention the fact that the engine is so heavily used by the companies, the FTC wouldn't allow it. Sure, it all depends on what they're doing, because right now there are certain companies buying up other companies, right, that no one talks about. Ford, like Epic has just bought some of the face recognition software and all this other software, which is a huge percentage of the industry, and Epic owns that now. And no one said anything when they bought it, right? Because it's not a big thing. But now, if someone came along and tried to do the face recognition and the body recognition to map out people's body stuff, they wouldn't be able to do it. You see what I'm saying? So what Epic has done quietly in the background has bought up a lot of these companies that have these groundbreaking technologies that are the leader of the entire industry, and now it's all under one roof. They bought the best facial recognition company. They bought the best body recognition company of animation and stuff to encapsulate it, and then now they're using it to make films, right? And I've talked about this about 2 years ago when Epic, and we always brought this up because I follow that type of industry in the film industry. Even when Mando first came out and they made the volume, that's all Unreal Engine, right? They've done it over and over. They literally just did an Unreal Engine. There was a skit they just did with SNL with the Mario Kart and whatnot for just a short period of time. They did a film thing. Epic is buying up all these assets to make, and now they're the leader, right, in animation, and they're increasingly exponentially getting higher than anybody else, but no one's saying anything. So I'm actually really happy with the Final Fantasy 16 director saying that it won't be open world, because because that's bad, because the words makes different settings harder to explore. Jesse Mack says COD is blank every year, and some people getting tired of it because it's noting new in multiplayer. COD is not good anymore, and they just bring Warzone to help COD past year. Well, yeah, COD has changed formats, and I don't think people are getting tired of it. I think the age brackets are getting tired of it, but there's always a brand new age bracket coming in to start playing COD. So even if it's an off year for COD, there's still until another game comes along, until someone makes another game just as good as Call of Duty will always arise, right? I don't know. Maybe Sony should have saved their money up and make a better Call of Duty. Rock metal bands are starting to use their Unreal for their videos. Yeah, everyone is. They're using that volume for a lot of different things, and every time they use the volume, they're using the Unreal Engine. It's part of the package. I know I get the hate, but I would rather have a current day or future. I'm sick of death of World War II. Well, the reason, Travis, they don't go into look at the problems they're having right now when they're. I don't want to bring up real current events. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but when you were going up against Russia in Battlefield, okay, and now there's a war happening in Russia. They literally were like, oh, we can't put this in the game right now because of what's happening. Okay. World War II is history. Past wars are history. A lot of people want modern combat, but the problem with modern combat is it bleeds into the real world. And if things happen, let's say they happen to make a game that's against Korea or China, people nowadays are like, oh, walking on eggshells, right? And they have a problem with that. So what happens is that it's safer. It's safer to make a World War II game and pick a different battle that's already happened because it's history. So you can go back and make World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Desert Storm, whatever. But making something that's in the future or present day has problems and implications because people get offended, get upset, right? And that's the issue. So you might be tired of World War II, but it's a safe bet that they can make a game, and if people are upset about it, they can just be like, well, that's history. Was the war going on for a while and the game was in development? If not, you're fine. No, you're not fine. Welcome to 2023. Welcome to 2023. Look at what happened to Division, right? A lot of people didn't want to play Division 2 or Division because a couple years ago, there was a plague that happened, right? And Division 2, which was before the plague, because it came out in 2016, was like, wow, that's a pretty cool scene. But now it's reality, right? Now it's reality. That's the problem by having stuff that could potentially be the future, which then becomes reality. Where if it's the past, right? If 10 years from now, someone makes a game and it was based on what happened, that's history, which is fine because that's facts, right? And people won't get upset because it's the past now. Can we all just agree that the deal goes through? Xbox needs to make a new Guitar Hero, please. Do they own that company, Stealth? Do they own Rock Band? Who Phonics? Is that who made it? I forget if it was Phonics. So what I'm hearing is people are too damn sheltered and need a good smacking. Sure, whatever you. Is it Activision? Did Activision make that? Make COD against aliens. Let's see if that happens. Well, you know what, DJ, you're not wrong, right? Maybe they should. Maybe they should take it intergalactic and go out there where it's fantasy based. Not would that be considered as modern warfare though anymore? You know what I mean? It was Activision? Okay. Like it's just funny to me. Do any of you really believe that if Microsoft buys Call of Duty, that PlayStation's first party title games are going to suffer? Because if that's the case, seriously, then Sony needs to look at their books and go, where are we spending our money? Like, what are we spending our money on that we can't use the money that we're getting from God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, Gran Turismo, right? Like, what are they doing it with? It'll still be Modern Warfare. We have a Space Force, so it could happen. That's who I was thinking of, Sharon. Thank you. Harmonix. I couldn't think of the developer. The publisher was Activision, but Harmonix is the developer. Thank you. As a Sony fan, no. But I just think as a gamer, can we literally sit here with a straight face and say that if they don't make money from Call of Duty, your first party experience is going to get worse? I can't. I can't even sit there and take that. Exclusive deals. So they're talking about first party titles. The initial thing Apex, is that they said if Call of Duty gets picked up by Microsoft, then it's going to hurt them with their quality of their first-party title games are going to go down, okay? Or affect new IPs of their first-party games. We can hope for Rock Band 5. Was there really 4 Rock Bands? Jesus. Despite what Nadell and Spencer say, right? They're getting rid of Xbox because analysts say so. Yeah, Mo, I can't. That to me is also laughable. That's also laughable to me, right? I'll do it this way, Mo. I'll admit to that if they're getting rid of the actual Xbox, because the future is not with consoles. The future is with streaming, right? Writing is on the wall. Xbox will be a publisher and remove themselves from hardware. Creature, but I truly believe they don't need to have hardware. They're moving towards Game Pass. It doesn't matter. We've all talked about this for months and years now. We said that there's not going to be another console. Like the next rendition of console will probably be the last console. It's all going to be cloud-based. Hence why they're pushing so hard on Game Pass and trying to get it on 3 billion devices. Right, Mo. That's the reason. They don't want to pay the 50 or 30 or 50% to Microsoft. They would rather pay it to a third-party company. At this point, the next step is going to get judged, if you know what you get the advantage. Yeah, Rock Band 4 is still getting new songs every week. What? Is it really? When did Rock Band 4 come out? No, they're spending most of their money on exclusive deals. But even if they're spending their money on exclusive deals, don't tell me COD is paying for exclusive... they're not saying COD is paying for their exclusive deals, right? They're saying COD is paying for their first-party exclusives, which is not exclusive deals. The exclusive deals part is like Hogwarts Legacy gets the shop for a year. Destiny gets the strike for a year. Forspoken's on the console for 2 years. Those exclusives, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying that COD's profit that they make from COD goes towards first-party exclusives. First-party exclusives. You're in a distant third in consoles. They have $70 billion in the hole to move in Game Pass and selling software. Hardware is not their answer. Right, but they've never tried to sell their hardware. That's why they're third. They've been always in the behind times with consoles. Hence why they're trying to go into just I've said it. I said they're trying to make Windows for gaming, right? They're trying to be the software of gaming. They don't need to make services, but they still do. No, but they make the services, regardless if they make the hardware or not, Mo, they still have Windows on that computer. Sure, there's Linux and whatnot and Apple iOS, but they're like 90% of the market, Rock Band 4 came out in 2015, and they're still supporting it every week with new songs. Man. There is no demand for it. They're a distant third in hardware. You don't make $70 billion back with a distant third. Right. Crazy as it sounds, but maybe Sony keeps making consoles and such because, hell, you always have people who prefer physical. Sure. And this is the comments that Phil Spencer made last year when he said, we're not competing with Sony. We're competing. Our biggest concern is competing with Amazon and Google, is what they said. Right? That's not a smack in the face. Xbox said, look, we're already so far behind in the console market. Let's make a new market. Let's be first in the new market, which is the streaming market. Right? And Sony's like, we're number one. And Xbox is like, all right, cool. You can have number one. We're going to be number one over here. We're going to try to get in on the ground floor and build this up so we are number one of this platform. That's what they're doing. I've said this for years now. I said Sony and Microsoft are not playing the same game. Or I should say PlayStation and Xbox are not playing the same game. Xbox has moved on from that field and went on to their own. They made up their own game. They're in their own field now, and PlayStation's looking to fight because here's what you really want to know. Sony needs Xbox. You know why they need Xbox? Because no one ever says that Sony's beating Nintendo, right? No one says that Nintendo's beating Xbox, right? They all say PlayStation versus Xbox. And if Xbox leaves this field, PlayStation's their own entity over here. And who are they going to compete against, right? So they need Xbox to stay in the console market just so they can go, hey, we're better than you. Right? You see what I'm saying? They need to punch down. What would all the Sony fanboys do if there was no one to compete against? Who would they compete against? Who would they cry over? Who would they get mad over? Can't wait for them to stop having hardware altogether and finally work with Sony and we get Game Pass on the PlayStation 6. And they kill the Windows Phone with 18 million units active. Yeah, but that was like 0.1% of the point. Was it 0.1 or 0.3% of the market? There's a difference between 0.1% and what Xbox is. I bet Sony is running out of exclusive deals. That is running their reputation court case. Right, but think about this. If there's no one to compete against in the console market, do they really need first-party titles? Other than a bit of more powerful console, they don't offer much. But they're still there, right? They're still the competitor. McDonald's, Burger King, Windows, Apple, Sony, or PlayStation, Xbox. It's that competition. They need each other. Competition breeds success. Economics 101. Exactly. No one brings that up, though, right? If once Xbox or Microsoft leaves the physical market and they just go into Xbox Game Pass, which is just on the cloud or just a streaming service, whatever it is, and they're the number one, and then Sony's trying to catch up to them, then what, right? Consoles will be a rarity in the future, right? And I'm not talking about 5-10 years from now. I'm talking like when my son is now my age, 30 years from now. Is there going to be consoles? Do you know? Nintendo's its own weirdo world dominance, right? And no one compares anybody to them. They're like, Nintendo's making this money, right? People are funny because Nintendo, like the Pokemon Scarlet Violet sold 10 million copies in 3 days. It was like a speed bump in the news story. But if a first-party title of Ragnarok sells 11 million copies in 3 months, they're like, oh my God. Can you believe how successful this is? Meanwhile, Pokemon sold 10 million in 3 days, right? Yet there's articles and articles of God of War Ragnarok selling 11 million copies in 3 months. Meanwhile, Pokemon did it in 3 days, and there's like one article. And it's only on Nintendo. It's only on Nintendo. I mean, crazy idea, but compete with yourself. Be striving to outdo yourself, not rely on others. But that's the thing. This is why Madden sucks. There's no one to compete with, right? This is why I said the other day that they should make another football game. Any football. XFL, AS, whatever that, ACFS, or ACFL, whatever it's called. And then there's an article written 3 days after I said it on Game Rant. I know you watch. I know you watch, whoever you are at Game Rant. Competition is important. Microsoft spent billions to make sure that Apple didn't go under. Right, creature. Right. What I'm hearing is that since streaming is online, and only we should just flip the switch and destroy streaming completely. Right. There you go. This is also why WWE sucked lately in the last years. 2K22 was great, though. Right, because there's no competition. Remember back in the day, Sharon, I don't know how old you are, but remember back in the day when WWF and WCW were competing, and then obviously they bought it, and then ECW came out, and then AEW, and TNA, all these other wrestling, right, came out. But there was this moment where wrestling was at its prime because it had to compete. And then once the competition left, wrestling kind of died down for a couple years, and now it's starting to build back up, right? I was very young, too much to understand. Yeah. Like if there's no competition, okay? If there's no competition, then things get stale. Because if someone's coming up on your heels, you want to stay ahead of them, right? Why? Here's the perfect. If Microsoft decides to sell Xbox, right? If they sell Xbox and now there's no more console for Xbox, why does Sony have to keep making exclusives? The reason they make exclusives is so they can keep ahead of the competition. Why buy an Xbox when you could buy a PlayStation? We have God of War. Why buy an Xbox when we have Horizon Forbidden West? We have Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man's on this platform. You can come over here and play these great games on our platform. You can still do that after it's gone, but why would they spend money on exclusives when they are now the only ones in the business? 25 people here, 14 likes. Gotta do better, chat. Y'all mad at me? Are you mad at me? What happened? They're just lazy. It's hard to hit that like button. You gotta lift up your finger on the mobile device, and you have to hit that little thumbs up. Maybe the other creature hit the thumbs down button. You don't know. Maybe the other people, the other 5 people, 7 people hit the thumbs down button. Don't call them out like that, creature. Super excited for the AEW game solely because it's not WWE. Keep people buying PlayStation instead of going to PC. It's not the same though, Krebsy, especially since they're taking their games now and putting them on PC, right? The people that are on PC, they're going to wait for the game to come on PC. A very small percentage bought Spider-Man on PlayStation and then bought it again on PC. The people that are PC players just waited for to come on PC. Stop whining about Call of Duty. Make something new. That's what we've been saying for months, almost a year now, Travis. We're like, if they're so worried about Call of Duty, now we know why, though, right? Now we know why they're worried about Call of Duty, right? Because if Call of Duty is ripped off their platform, which it's not, by the way, right? Xbox is like, hey, we want to give you a 10-year deal, and PlayStation's like, no, we are not getting a 10-year deal. We want more than that, and we don't want you to buy it because we don't want to pay you the 30% or 50%, right? Like that's what they're doing. I bought God of War twice again, but you're the small percentage. How many people? Think about this. If it only sold 10 million copies out of 146 million units that were in PlayStation 4 and 30 million units in PlayStation 5, okay, total, it sold 11 million units in 3 months, right? Maybe more now, but that's such a small percentage. Out of that percentage, how many people are now buying it twice on both platforms? I mean, you could be like Water. He bought Avengers multiple times on PlayStation and Xbox and PC or whatever. Yeah, the games are going to PC after release of PlayStation. FOMO would get people to get to PlayStation. Has it at this point, Krebsy? Has the PC dominant race, the upper echelon of wine drinkers of gaming, have they really gone over to buy a PlayStation? I'm not talking about streamers now. We're talking about the majority of the population that are PC players. They either don't buy it or they just wait. And now when it comes to PC, they're like, oh, cool, I get to play that game now. Yeah, I did thumbs down because 30 won't play Destiny's Lightfall. See? There you go. Resistance, Fall of Man, Killzone. Hell, Sony has games that they were already better than COD. Just reboot them. Killzone didn't sell very well. It might have been better, but it wasn't as popular. See, there's a difference between better and popular. Popular makes money. Better just as quality. If you can make better and popularity, well, then you're good. Why buy Lightfall DLC if I can wait and get it for free next year? I'm not missing anything. Exactly. I don't know, Dende. They could just remove it completely and you can never buy it again. Right? Because that's always good business. You want twice to support Santa Monica since they really love their work. Well, just so you know, Sharon, this is Sony's words, not mine. The money that's from that they made from that is not going back into that company. Call of Duty money is going into that company so they can make a better game for you. Yeah. Call of Duty is making God of War better. God of War money is not making God of War better. So don't support Santa Monica. Make sure you support Activision. Yeah, you gotta go buy microtransactions. Warzone. You gotta go play Warzone. Go buy a skin, a reticle. You know, you gotta go buy stuff over there off of PlayStation, because if you want better games on PlayStation, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money on Call of Duty. It's hard to compete with COD. Now, most since Battlefield is doing really, really bad right now. Well, Battlefield, in the grand scheme of things, right? I'm a huge Battlefield fan, except for this last one, which I'm still playing, but I'm not a fan of it. Battlefield has never been a competitor to Call of Duty. It's never been, right? They're 10 times higher in profits, okay? Like, it sells 3 million copies and it sells 30 million copies, right? Sometimes it's like 2 times, 5 times, whatever it is, but it's not even close, okay? And that's a perfect example, right? If Battlefield just falls away, who's competing with Call of Duty, right? Battlefield stays around because Battlefield has its small little group. The most I think Battlefield ever sold was like 14 million copies, right? Which is still less than double what Call of Duty sold that year. I think it sold, 30 million copies or 32 million copies, right? So it's never really been a competitor, but they make it a competitor because they need that competition. You need to look at someone and go, you're my rival. And we're going head-to-head with them, and we're better than them. We're the number one first-person shooter game in this genre, right? Well, can you say you're number one if there's no one else in that genre? World War II in space, where you go both best worlds. World War II in space. Maybe World War III in space, but with aliens, as DJ said earlier, right? War of the Worlds type of stuff. Most PC players don't have an Xbox, either have Game Pass, have a PlayStation 5, or just a PC. Correct, though, Water. But again, there's how many people in the gamers that own a PC? It's astronomical for PC gamer owners, right? And again, if everyone that owned a PC owned a PlayStation, there's still only 32 million units out there compared to the, you know, I forget how many PC gamers are there. Let me see if I can find a. Let's see. In 2020, there was an estimated 1.75 billion PC gamers worldwide. So let's just put that in perspective, okay? So everybody that owns a PC, if they own a PlayStation, then I would say then you're absolutely correct. But it's 1.7 billion to 175 million. That's what the PlayStation and PlayStation 5. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 is 175 million units total, and 1.75 billion PC gamers worldwide. So to tell me that I buy it on PC and PlayStation, congratulations, you're literally less than 1%. You're literally less than 1%. Killzone didn't sell well because back when Sony didn't market their first-party games. Regardless, that game, in the grand scheme of things, Travis, Killzone was a flop. When you have a PC, Game Pass makes it so you don't need an Xbox. At least that's my setup. Krebsy says 100% there are people out there that bought a PlayStation to play God of War Ragnarok to play day one instead of waiting for it to eventually to release on PC in a few years. Sure, Krebsy, that 0.1% of that 1% is a huge market. Huge market. Hey, what are we talking about? You telling me that I bought it, so that means everyone bought it. Even if everyone bought it on PlayStation, it's less than 1%. That's if everybody on PlayStation. And let me tell you something. If everyone bought God of War Ragnarok on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, they wouldn't make claims that Call of Duty is paying for first-party titles. Back when Battlefield 3 came out, I remember COD was at bad times. Battlefield 3 and COD that year. Let me see what year did Battlefield 3 released 2011. Okay. 2011. Now let me bring up COD 2011 was Modern Warfare 3. Okay, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in 2011. Let's see who sold more. Because that's when they actually kept track of sales. Okay, and now let me bring up. Hold on, I'm gonna show you all this. Okay. Okay, Battlefield. See, this is if what your statement is there, right? What your statement is there is when Call of Duty was struggling. Okay, let me show you what Call of Duty looks like when it's struggling. Okay, Battlefield. Okay, how many copies did Battlefield 3 sell? The game sold 5 million copies. So that's when Battlefield was at its top, right? That's what you're saying? Okay, here's when Call of Duty was struggling. Let's see. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2011, 30 million copies. Get out of here with that statement. Get out of here. It's not even in the same ballpark. Call of Duty is PlayStation, Battlefield is Xbox in this formula. 4-1. 4-1. But look into the first week. What does that mean? What are we talking about? You're moving the goalposts here. You guys are delusional. Let me show you. Let me show you. You're delusional. Okay. 17 million copies total lifetime. That's 5 million. 17 million. And I told you my statement just 20 seconds or 20 minutes ago was the best that Battlefield did was still half of what Call of Duty did. And that was the year you just said that Call of Duty sucked. See, I was right. No, you were still wrong. Call of Duty, at its lowest point, Tony, you're jumping on the bandwagon with Sharon. That's fine. Okay? Still only sold half of what Call of Duty did. Travis, calling your fans delusional. No wonder you're only at 10 likes. Well, delusional is fact. If you're saying a fact that Battlefield was better than Call of Duty the same year, you're delusional because there you go. Sure, you're correct that the 5 million was on day one. My statement was Call of Duty and Battlefield's best game ever was still half of what Call of Duty was. And the statement that Sharon said was total that it was when Call of Duty was struggling. If you market Killzone back then, like you do with Spider-Man today, it destroys COD. Those are false statements. Those are false statements. Those are fantasy statements. Killzone was nowhere near. I think the top Killzone sales, okay, was less than like 10 million. That was total. I don't even think it was 10 million. As of January 2014, the game sold over 2.1 million copies. Just stop, Travis. You guys are like in this fantasy world of what you like and what you think is like the majority, and it's not. I just got in here. COD is by far more popular than Battlefield. I was saying that was right that he guessed Battlefield only sold 15 million-ish. Sure. And my statement before was that the best Battlefield sold less than half of what Call of Duty sold. Let's just be honest here. We all know that space, not space. That space is greater than not space. I don't even know what that means. You just said, you didn't say numbers, but you just said if Killzone back then, if they did marketed Spider-Man today, it would destroy COD. And that's a false statement. That's a false statement. Back then, games didn't even sell that many. I love COD more than Battlefield, but I feel that Battlefield 3 was by far better than Call of Duty. That's besides the point. Hence what my conversation was, having a game that's better or having a game that's more popular. Quality over quantity, right? Both games are good. One was better than the other, but one was more popular than the other. That's all that matters. And they don't care if a game is good, right? If it's popular and okay, is better than great, right? And it doesn't sell. You could take Killzone, the entire franchise, and it wouldn't even equal one bad year of Call of Duty. I think the worst that Call of Duty ever did was like, God, we're talking like original. The worst Call of Duty ever. Hell, Call of Duty World at War 2008 sold 17 million. Let's see the total sales here. Statistics and facts about Call of Duty. No, it's online gaming. Here, Vanguard.
Visit G2A.
Hold on. Vanguard is the worst selling. Okay. Call of Duty is the worst selling Call of Duty. How many copies of Vanguard have been sold? The game is reported to have sold more than 30 million copies. How is that if it's the worst? One of the worst selling Call of Duty's games in years, and message of the stockholders, Activision offered a theory. No. They don't even give the sales numbers now. And that's the bad part. They don't give you the actual sales numbers anymore. The game recently reported 13.4 million copies shipped, which is the lowest in its history. Does ship mean sold? I don't know. Outlander says, Opera GX. Wow, didn't know you were that much of a gamer. I like it because it does less what's it called? Less stress on my PC. I don't have like a 40 Ti, 40 series Ti or anything like that. I actually like the browser much better because I can open up my Twitter, my Discord, all that stuff. It's great. It's a good browser. Not sponsored by that. Not sponsored by them, but it's a good browser. I've been using it about 3 years. Most of the time I would bring up, because certain of my default, like when I click on certain things, it opens up Chrome, but Chrome is just like a beast, man, when it cuts through stuff. I kind of see your point. I should have just said the market kill zone better. Could have been good. Sure. Look, I take a perspective, Travis. I'm not competing against, like, I speak in facts and sources. Okay. All of my knowledge that I'm spitting out is because of things I've read or things I've seen. I'm not putting my own bias on top of things, right? If you're a fan of a game, cool, right? Like Water the other day said that he thinks Suicide Squad, if he's joking or not, thinks it's going to sell like Harry Potter. And this is not making fun of Water. That's because Water is a huge comic book fan. He is a DC fan. He's a Marvel fan. He's a comic book fan. And he would love to see Suicide Squad sell that much. But in reality, there's no way it's going to sell that. You know what I mean? So when I talk about stuff, it's not me going, I'm an Xbox fanboy or I'm a Sony fanboy. I talk about, no, this is what the thing is. And when people make claims, I'm going to shut that down and show you facts of it. And if I'm wrong, which I've been proven many times I've been wrong, okay, I'll say, hey, well, okay, I didn't know that. I'm still with a 1070 Ti. I just well, I guess it's about a year now. I went up to a RTX 3060, not a 3060 Ti. Like I bought it and I got it for a good price. I got it for like $600. It killed me because I never paid that much for a graphics card before. COD releases everywhere, and Killzone released on PlayStation only. Killzone was never superior to COD. Yeah, combined total, Krebsy. Right? You could take all the sales of all the Killzones, and it wouldn't even come close to 1 year of COD. It would, hell, I don't even think it came close to what Battlefield did. It was vastly superior. If it was vastly superior, though, Travis, why didn't it survive? PlayStation 5 is stronger than my PC. Isn't it the same? What is in a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X? I don't know. I know like Buckalorian knows that, and Akuta Pop I think knows that, or El Weezy knows it. I don't know what graphics card's inside of it. Killzone might be superior to COD for you, but the majority of the industry, COD is better. COD than Killzone was active, was Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 was good, and the people to do this, they still want those games. Oh, for sure. For sure. Gotta upgrade the rig? Well, sure. If I start winning the lottery and I can upgrade my gear, sure. Hit that membership button. Stop killing my dreams, 30. What bothers me, it needs to be a Call of Duty killer. If you say something is a killer, it means it needs to be killed. No, it just needs competition. Again, a lot of people look at Call of Duty is better than Battlefield, but if Battlefield wasn't there, what would Call of Duty be better than? You see what I'm saying? If there was no competition, then there would be no reason to make a game better or to strive to become better or to be better. Hence why Battlefield is trying to turn Battlefield into what COD is. Hence why Call of Duty is now adjusting what it was and trying to turn and compete with the Battle Royales. It's adapting and trying to compete. Because they see the writing on the wall. They're like, well, we're already way ahead of Battlefield. So let's get into the BR market and let's compete. And then they start striving to be better. And then they might be the best BR out there. But if it wasn't for the other BRs, then there wouldn't be any competition. So they wouldn't have to make it better because that's what everyone's playing. Troy the Gorilla, because they were ready to move on, according to them, they might go back to it one day. Well, even if they come back, let's say Killzone comes out next year and it's still a PlayStation exclusive. Is the PlayStation exclusive going to beat COD? Right? Maybe. Then maybe we can have a conversation, because then now COD is owned by Microsoft, and then Sony brings out Killzone, and then they make Killzone better than COD to then take their player base of PlayStation to buy their first party instead of COD, to get away from the third party money that they're making from that, right? That would be a smart business decision. If that happens, then we can have a conversation that Killzone's better than Call of Duty. I catch deals on Newegg if they have some pretty good deals on occasion. I'm never going to buy another graphics card for this computer, probably. I'll probably have this. I have my last 960 graphics card for 6 years, and this is already a year old. So I probably won't get a new graphics card until I'm 50. Unless I come into money, and then I can spend the money on that. Battlefield, because of Battlefield and COD, killed off Killzone franchise. Sure, they couldn't compete. There was just too many, not enough to go out, not enough to go around. Since the new reboot, I disliked both Battlefield and COD for a long while. Yeah, Battlefield just got back to day one where Battlefield was. So for the last 18 months, they changed Battlefield, and now they put Battlefield back to where it was. So now it's back to 0, and now they have to fix it. Sometimes games come out at the wrong time. Look at Evolve. That game was a whole 4v1 thing before it was popular. Yeah, but they destroyed themselves, Travis. Evolve destroyed themselves, right? And that was after Left 4 Dead. And the same company that made Evolve just made Back 4 Blood, which made Left 4 Dead. They're the same company that made Left 4 Dead. And Left 4 Dead was a 4v, PvE type of stuff. And when they came out with the 4v1, like Freddy versus Jason and Ghostbusters and all these other games, the reason that burned was because they were trying to nickel and dime everyone for microtransactions, not because the game was bad. That's because they became too greedy in the way their monetization was for that game. They could also buy and make it better. They can also buy Battlefield. Who you talking about? Who can buy? That's buying EA. That's buying EA. I love how people always default to COD for multiplayer. I used to play COD before it even had multiplayer. Used to about amazing campaigns and multiplayer tacked on. I mean, Call of Duty 1 and 2, where it was just World War II, those were great games back then. They were just so simple. Left 4 Dead was one of those games that came out, and I remember there was no news about it. It just launched in October during the month of Halloween, and it dropped. And I remember calling Sarge up and being like, "You got to buy this game." I played the demo, and I was like, "You got to buy this game." And we played it, and it was fantastic. Left 4 Dead was just a fun game. Point A to point B, try to survive with your buds, going through zombie apocalypse. Just a simplistic game. Then Left 4 Dead 2 came out. They tried to make it a little bit more complicated or whatnot, and then that failed. And then Valve kept the rights. Then the company said, we're going to make another game, and then they came out for Back 4 Blood, which also wasn't as good. Like, there was no advertisement for Left 4 Dead. It just dropped. It just dropped back then. It was like, oh yeah, there's a little game called Left 4 Dead. I called Reborn Battlefield 2042 hard relaunch with Season 4. Did they... that comes out today, right? So today's update We have Division 2. Excuse me. We have Division 2 update today. We have Battlefront 2042 update today. We have what was the other one that came out today? No Man's Sky came out last week. There was one more. Oh, SnowRunner's update came out today. What other? There's another update today. There's like so many updates coming out today. Oh, Lightfall came out today. Like today is National Launch Games of Service Day. It's a holiday. Everyone take off. See, that's the problem. Companies have stopped worrying about making a good game and more on how can we make a quick buck. Well, not even that, Travis. It's how do we make a subpar game, right? A subpar game and keep you coming back every single day. Instead of making a great game and making you want to stay in just because it's a good game. They want you to be grindy, have cosmetics come in, microtransactions in coming each and every single day or week. They're trying to keep you hours-wise. It's not about making a good game anymore for games of service. Games of service is if I can keep you in my game longer than you than someone else, then you won't go to other person's game. You'll stay in our game. And if you stay in our game, there's more of a chance of you paying for a microtransaction or a battle pass or whatever it is. That is the game now for a live service game. How many, right? And this is why Sony is spending so much money on making, they want 12 live service games over the next, what was it, 3 years, I think it was? It's not over the next year. It's over 3 years, I think it was, right? This is why they want live service games constantly coming out, because they want you to stay on the Sony platform. They don't want you to have a PC and PlayStation. They want you to play the PlayStation, and they want you to play PlayStation as long as it possibly can. And if you're not playing Destiny, right, then maybe you'll play Assassin's Creed. And if you're not playing Assassin's Creed, then maybe you'll play their first-party title if they do an online mode. Hence why Last of Us is putting up a multiplayer, are they not? Right? They're trying to have a MMO with Horizon, right? This is why they're doing what they're doing. That's the name of the game. Left 4 Dead was a party game like Halo 2 for Saturday nights with friends. Yeah, it was great, Water. It was a fantastic game. And I think sometimes people should just go back to, I don't want to say make a Left 4 Dead game, but come up with a game like Left 4 Dead where it's just fun. Now, I'm going to make a quick comparison, right? Like you look at what Suicide Squads is. A lot of people are looking at that as a gun-based game. It's a live service game. It's not a point A to point B survive type thing, but that's where it's kind of evolved to, right? It's evolved into 4-player people playing together. It's evolved into an Anthem. It's evolved into a Marvel's Avengers. It's evolved into a Destiny. It's evolved into a Division. It's evolved into all these type of games. And I think sometimes they just need to go back. Like, you couldn't upgrade your weapons in Left 4 Dead. You found an SMG, you used the SMG. You found a shotgun, you used a shotgun. There was no, like, extra pieces to put on. Back 4 Blood made it more complicated because now you're playing, you pick up an assault rifle, now you're putting a scope on it, you're putting this thing on it. It's like more time of you to invest into the game instead of just going, hey, you know what, you want to play for an hour? Let me get in, play the game, and leave. They're trying to keep you in as long as possible. So maybe Suicide Squads could be that next thing, but the thematic of it is kind of weird, right? If you take, I'm trying to think of an IP. Because obviously Brainiac soldiers and the Justice League you're fighting is not like zombies, right? Redfall's trying to do this with vampires instead. If you take this 4-player co-op and you have to try to survive in this world, what IP, what thematic can you put in that make it work? Because one will work and one won't, right? Let's just say on a bare bone minimum, right? Left 4 Dead is just zombies, and Suicide Squads, let's say it's the exact same game, but with Suicide Squad members. Are people going to be more prone to play the quick zombie one, or are they going to play the, I know the Suicide Squad one, if it's the exact same, right? So what works and what doesn't work is a big for what type of game. And I think Suicide Squad might have picked the wrong genre of game for that particular thing. But Left 4 Dead was just really simple, man. It was just simple. Rocksteady was something special. Now it's going to be just another face in the crowd. Potentially, Travis. Yeah, potentially it could. You know how you keep me in? Several hours, be good. Yep, that's it. Yeah. I put more time into Ghost of Tsushima and Red Dead 2 each separately than I did in the last 5 CODs combined. Jesse says, yep, 30 new Season 4. 30 new Season 4 come out today. Actually, a bit better now than before, but the new map has very open field defender side, more cover on the attacker side. So basically what you're telling me, Jesse, is it'll take the next 6 months to reconfigure what that map is, and then they'll fix it down the road, is what you're telling me. I mean, there was a laser that you could find in Left 4 Dead, but that was it. Right, but what I'm saying, there was no, like, you found an AR, and then you could put a grenade launcher on the front, or an extended mag, or anything like that, you know? It was just very simplistic. Like, you would find a weapon, and then do that weapon. What's going on, Hellspawn? PS Plus getting Battlefield 2042 and Minecraft Dungeons is March hype. Minecraft Dungeons, I don't know, Hellspawn, if you've ever played Minecraft Dungeons. Minecraft Dungeons is a fantastic game. Fantastic game. They actually do some really cool gear things in that game, where in Minecraft Dungeons, if you find a sword, let's say at level 2, okay? If you like that sword and you're now level 100, you could take that sword with you and keep upgrading it to take it with you, which is great, which respects the player's time, because if it has good stats or good rolls on it and you want to keep that, you can keep it going. You could also loot for stuff, like, you know, on each map, like, what could potentially drop, so you can just try to run that over and over and over. It's actually done really, really well, and it's fun with 4 players or two-player co-op or whatnot. Minecraft Dungeons is a very, very underrated game. People blow it off because it's a Minecraft-themed game, but it's actually one of the better looters / dungeon crawlers out there. Battlefield 2042 is a fantastic game if you don't know anything else about Battlefield series. Like, if you're brand new and this is your first Battlefield, it's fun. But if you're an old person or that played other Battlefield games, you're going to look at Battlefield 2042 and go, there's something off about this one. But if you just go in not knowing anything, Battlefield is actually a pretty fun game. You're comparing Left 4 Dead and Warhammer Vertime too. Right. Same type of thing, right? Like, is that thematic good, right? What game can you do? For instance, Epic made Fortnite, which was supposed to be a tower defense zombie type of game. It didn't really work out as that. Right? People were either, didn't understand the defense, tower defense, or they didn't really understand that it was like a zombie type of thing. But 3 months after it came out, they turned it into a battle royale, and people just loved it for what it was. Just because it has certain requirements or checkboxes doesn't mean it's going to be successful or understood. Speaking of games as service, are you going to play the early beta of Diablo 4? I am. I'm going to try it. I'm going to pre-order it and test it out. You can play Act 1 and up to level 25. Do you have to pre-order it? The open beta is on the 24th through the 26th, right? I'm not going to pre-order to play it. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait for it to come out. He says, Lord of the Rings, defend the wall. In this game, you'll be experiencing the battle of the Hornburg on the front lines. Cut those orcs down and let the arrows fly. Game available when it gets made. But I would be interested in that, Krebsy. Right? Like, if I had a game that was out right now and you had to defend a wall, but then I had a Lord of the Rings game to defend that wall, I would be more interested in that Lord of the Rings game. Fortnite was the greatest pivot of all time. I can't wait for Resident Evil 4 remake. All ready to pre-order. It's funny, it comes out on my birthday. Well, nice. I haven't played a Resident Evil game since the GameCube days. I just never does anything for me. So I don't dive into it. You get early access to the beta on the 17th, and I think you can play in the open beta too. So if let me ask this, Water. Is it March 17th? And then I can play up until the 26th? Or is it pre-order, I can play on the 17th, 18th, 19th, and then I can play again on the 24th, 25th, 26th? I know I could probably just look it up, but I'm asking. I think... I don't know about Diablo, man. I'm excited about Diablo, but at the same time, I look at Diablo as I played Lost Ark, and I dove into Lost Ark, and I played the crap out of it for like months. and then I put it down. And I don't know if I want to spend the full price on Diablo, right? I don't know if I want to pay full price for Diablo and then kind of play like I did and then kind of put it down. I'd rather play a different game. Good example of a great live service game is Dead by Daylight. They keep pushing content 8 years now. Another good thing is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a good content. Do you pay? And I don't know because I don't play Dead by Daylight. Do you pay for the DLC or is it free content that they keep adding? Another good content, good games as service live service game is Grand Theft Auto Online. They keep adding to that. From the 17th to the 19th, then the open beta. Yeah, see it. I'll just wait. I'll just wait for the open beta. Guess what tomorrow is? Mando Season 3 comes out. Jesse, did you see the thing I posted in Discord underneath the Star Wars news? No one responded to me, so I want to kind of bring it up. Did anybody see the Pedro Pascal daily on the Graham Norton show? Did anyone see that clip? I posted the clip inside our Discord under Star Wars Talk, okay? And Pedro was on the show, and Graham Norton asked about, he said, Baby Yoda. He's like, oh, Baby Yoda. That is Baby Yoda. And Pedro says, yes, that's Baby Yoda. And then shortly after, excuse me one second. Shortly after, it was a big nothing burger. Not so, Krebsy. Hear me out. He says, Baby Yoda, and he goes, oh, God, I can't believe I said that. This is the first time I've ever said Baby Yoda. And then he gets kind of nervous, gets a little quiet for a second, and then they kind of try to change the subject. I would have thought it was just like, oh, he's not allowed to say Baby Yoda, right? He's not allowed to say Baby Yoda because they made a name for Grogu for merchandise purchases and whatnot. But then Disney took down the clip. Okay. They took down the clip. You could find every other clip of Pedro on the Graham Norton show, but you can't find the clip of him saying that. Now, someone on YouTube, right? Someone on YouTube or Twitter recorded it and then posted it again, but they didn't get the whole reaction. There's a less of a reaction. That got cut off. But I would have been okay with it if Disney just let it up. Okay? But they took it down, and them taking it down kind of says something that, did he say Baby Yoda because it is Baby Yoda and we don't know it's a clone? You know, everyone thinks that's why we called it Baby Yoda. We're like, oh, it's a clone, it's Baby Yoda. Or is it really Grogu, you know, and whatnot, and they didn't want him to call it Baby Yoda? I don't know. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but when they took it down, I was like, oh. I was like, well, maybe it is. License, you have to pay for them. By original content, you can get for free from playing games. Okay. Yeah, I saw on YouTube. I saw a clip of him telling Graham how he got the role for Last of Us. Right, Ford. They have all the clips on there except the clip that he said that. You guys can go play it. It's in our Discord. If you're part of our Discord, meaning you're a member and you can link your account, you can go down to the Star Wars Talk and watch it. And then you can tell me what you think. I'm banking on my money that the Master Yoda is Grogu's son. That's my theory since Mando Season 1. I would have said it's a clone of Yaddle because she isn't in the second movie. But then he released the shorts and then it shows Dooku killed her. But that doesn't mean they didn't use her. True. Right, I've said from the beginning, Jesse, that I do believe it's a clone of Yoda, but then I try to figure it out, and I'm like, if it is a clone of Yoda, right? If it is a clone of Yoda, he's 50 years old, but is he 50 years old? Because Yoda visited, right, and then basically probably said, let's make a clone of myself just for future insurance, and then the clones age rapidly, right? So is Grogu actually 50 years old, or is he just a couple years old and he ages rapidly, right? So it's been, 15 years since Order 66, correct? right? No, it's been 18 and then 5, so it's been 20. So maybe he's only 20 something, but he's actually 50 because of how rapidly he did. Or we don't actually know, when he was created, because he was created before Order 66, obviously, because he was at the temple. Lots of stuff. I just find it a little interesting. Clone of Yoda. Little known that Yoda went to the dark side in his younger days. Grogu is a clone that never turned. Do you want the 2-minute clip instead of the 44-second one? You could post it in there. You could post it inside the in there. The clones don't age rapidly. They're forced them that way. Boba Fett is clone, and he ages normal. Right. No, what I'm saying is, just like the clones, though, they age Grogu rapidly. So he could be rapidly... He's not 50. Because if you go back 50 years, that's way, way before what happened in Clone Wars. And if it is, hypothetically, if it is Yoda's clone, that means he knew about it. So who is Sifo Dyas then? You know what I mean? Type of thing. Is Yoda Sifo Dyas? Because he's old enough to be there to put it ahead of time. Did Yoda make the clone army? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it might be absolutely nothing. To me, it's just Pedro making some laughs to his mistake. Not that he's saying no possibility of Grogu is Baby Yoda. Well, sure, Krubsy. But I just find it weird that they took it down. What if the clone Yoda doesn't know about it? Maybe Sith tried to recreate him for their side. Sure, but he was also in the temple, Brain. So did they rescue him and then put him into the school to train him? I know, McDiesel. What I'm saying is there could be potential things that, again, we're all speculating on what Pedro Pascal may or may not have slipped up and said something. Obviously, I don't believe any of that he's Sifo Dyas. What I'm saying is potentially it could be all that stuff. Obviously, I do believe he's a clone of Yoda's bloodline, hence why he's there. I do believe he's a clone because there's clone things throughout all of Mando, and we all know it leads to 7, which is a clone of Snoke, or clone of Emperor, which is Snoke, and so on. I'm just rambling. I haven't even watched season 2 yet. Well, watch season 2 and then watch 3 episodes of Boba Fett, Brain, and then you can watch season 3. I don't like Star Wars. Don't kill me. Don't worry about it. Have a good one. Well, the Senate could have closed. The Senate could have closed him without his knowledge. Sure. Well, clone Yoda without his knowledge? I don't know. It's actually Mace Windu. Maybe. Mace Windu's coming back, Krebsy. Wait for it. Wolvie's going to lose his mind. Mace Windu is coming back, I'm telling you. Cloneception. Star Wars Episode 10. Cloneception. If you guys like the talk show that we did today, we're still live for about another 15 minutes or so. Please make sure you hit that like button. We talk about a topic in the beginning, then we kind of just ramble on through the rest of the show for different topics. By the Senate, I mean Palpatine. Sure. No, I understand what you're saying, McDiesel. What I'm saying is, you actually have to capture somebody and then like take a blood sample or whatnot to make that clone, right? So again, it could be Yao, as El Dente said. Like they could have taken her, killed her, and then used her. But when she was dead, they could have taken and then made it or whatnot. Did y'all see Company of Heroes 3? What a sad game. No, what happened to Company of Heroes 3? Sarge would love that. Sarge loves the Company of Heroes games. Maybe it was the death Darth Jar Jar who ordered the clone. Brain's just like, all right, what else can I say? What else can I say? Rey is secretly a clone of Leia. I mean, there was a speculation out there, Krebsy, that Rey was actually Anakin's mom, and she goes back in time, and then she has Anakin because of the end of Episode 9, that Ben puts his hand on her tummy to put his life force in her, and then she becomes pregnant, and then she goes through the thing, and then makes Darth Vader, which would make some weird freaking thing. I don't know, but that's what people were talking about. I was like, what? It's fully bugged, and in my opinion, lacks a lot of content. Really, that's a shame. That's a shame. What are my predictions of tomorrow's Mando? I'll be honest, Stealth, and you know, I used to be right up on it, like I knew everything about it. I'm going in. I don't even want to think about it. I just want to kind of go in, and I'm going to watch Episode 1, and then kind of speculate. Right? I don't know. I don't have any predictions. I could see Disney trying that. Oh yeah, for sure. It's so far-fetched, brain. You're like, that's right up Disney's alley. I would be pissed off if they showed Anakin saving Grogu. I can't remember the exact thing. I said the only person that could save Grogu from the temple. I said two people. One, I said it's Anakin, and two, I said it was Mace Windu. Is what I said. The Sweet Home Alabama starts playing when you think of Rey likes Kylo. Jason says, I'm done with Star Wars. Since you're Florida / Disney man, do you think they're losing the power of the area is going to have negative effects on the parks, movies, and resorts? Oh, 100%. 100%, Stealth. There's going to be it's going to have negative effects on the park, but it's not going to change dramatically because Universal, SeaWorld, all the other theme parks around here were under the same things that now Disney's under, right? They didn't get the special treatment. So like Universal expanding their park and doing what they did and the building permits and all that stuff, they've been dealing with what the regulations are. Disney has not, right? So now Disney World has been knocked down a peg. They now have to abide by the same rules as all other theme parks in the area, which then makes better competition. You'll see a little hit in Disney itself, but I think overall, the longer picture, it'll be better because they'll have to be competitive with the rest of the market, which is a good spin around of everything we've been talking about. Competition is good because it wasn't really fair competition, right? It was like they had unfair advantages because they could get permits and stuff done and have more money for taxes and everything because they didn't follow the same rules as all the other parks. My prediction is Mando is actually the Guardian in Destiny. Turn of events. Subvert your expectations. I don't think Cal is going to be included. He could, but he was really young then. He was like 10. And it could. We speculated that on the show. We speculated that on the show when we did the breakdowns when I used to do those. You could still watch those episodes on Nerding with 30, I believe. Or no, some of those episodes got taken down. I think we talked about it in season 2 of Mando, if I'm not mistaken. You think tickets will be cheaper? I don't know what they're doing with the ticket prices, because right now you can't buy annual passes, and if you have an annual pass, they keep raising it every year like 20%. So we used to pay like $600 a person a year, and now we're paying like $800 a person a year, which is still as a local only 20 miles away, it's still worth it. Because if I went if I went 8 times, not even 6 times, it's worth the price. And we go there just for dinner. We go there just for dinner. We drive there, walk in, ride a ride, move out. We go to the water parks. That's included. We've been to the water parks like 5-6 times. Mando Season 3, Episode 1 will be 32 minutes long, making it the shortest Star Wars episode to date. That would hurt. That would hurt. Hopefully they make them a little longer. So my question is, why did they have to in the first place? Why did they what have to do in the first place, Travis? Why did Disney get the deals in the first place? Because when if that's what you're asking, the reason they got it when they bought up the land in the first place, they made some deals, right? So Walt Disney bought it up underneath certain other companies' names. They wouldn't actually sell to Walt Disney. So he made a company and basically bought all the land up. And because they were bringing business into the area, because back then there was like nothing here, they made deals and stuff with the government and stuff inside Florida to basically get all that. Why didn't you have to abide by the rules in the past? Also, Fabulous Water Park. Mine was Blizzard Beach. Yeah. Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach. Yeah, so they didn't get all the regulations and stuff. So they have their own fire service. They have their own police. They have their own power plant. They have their own garbage and waste, right? They had everything. They paid different taxes because they didn't pay taxes. Basically, they had all this stuff. When they had to build something, they didn't have to go through the red tape and stuff to be like, hey, we're building this roller coaster. I mean, obviously they got inspected and stuff, but they could just build stuff because they were their own government. They were their own entity. And now, if they want to build a new roller coaster or a new ride or expand something, they have to go, hey, we'd like to do this. And then Florida comes in and goes, all right, we'll take the money for that and this, and we're going to have to come in and inspect this and that. Wrong number, still the shortest episode 1. It's actually 34. Why didn't they have to abide by the rules? I already read that. Okay. Loopholes. Yeah. Major loopholes. And as a person up until the last couple years, I like Disney, right? And this has nothing to do with my political views or anything like that. But they've tried to do certain things they shouldn't have, and now they got the consequences. They're getting consequences now. Don't worry, anyone that's outside the state of Florida, you're still going to be paying lots of money for your tickets. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're still going to pay a crap ton of money for your park tickets. Like, the park is still one of their better things. That's where they make majority of their money. And the parks themselves have been really, they're still good. But the overall, what Disney stands for now and what they're trying to do, they've lost a lot of people. But I'll tell you what, people, and I'm not boycotting Disney, right? But people that say they boycott Disney, if I took a video every weekend or every other weekend that I go, you would not believe. You'd be like, that's people boycotting, right? I guarantee you that people are like, I'm not paying for Disney Plus. I'm not doing it. They're in the parks with their kids as they have smiles from ear to ear, and the parents are like, I just spent $7,000. I still spent $5,000, right? Yeah. That's what it is. There's tons and tons of people that go every single week. Every single week. The best time to go is on Super Bowl Sunday. We went on Super Bowl Sunday, and it was like the word got out, and everyone went on Super Bowl Sunday. So for people like, I'm gonna boycott. Sure you are. They're at like max capacity. Hasn't even affected. They made what, $22 billion, I think, and obviously they're making more money because they're charging more prices for the tickets. So maybe less people are coming, but they're still making a crap ton of money. Boycott Harry Potter, but the park is so cool. I visited because it's not her, right? Meanwhile, I'll boycott the game. Yeah, it's funny. She actually does get money from residuals from the park because they have to pay a license. Yeah, they have to pay a license for that. Yeah, it's crazy. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is just, it's strong. It's strong with those people. Disney has ownership of some extent of so many companies, they're almost impossible to boycott. Right? A lot of people don't even realize what companies they have in hand. You wouldn't even be able to watch TV for a lot of people. If you watch a show on ABC, good luck. Better stop watching ABC. If you watch sports on ESPN, you gotta stop. Because, if you watch sports on Fox, you got to stop because they own that as well. If you're going to boycott, you got to boycott. Yeah, can't watch anything on Stars. Can't do Hulu. So you're left with Paramount. You're left with Paramount, HBO, and Netflix. And they just signed a deal. They just signed a deal with that's DC. DC is going to be putting some DC films that don't include inside the phase onto Netflix. And I think actually Disney might be selling off some of the IPs, not totally, but license them out to Netflix and stuff, because a lot of people are not, so many people are not getting Disney Plus that they're going to take their shows and put them on other platforms so they can watch them. Let's see, yeah, because people may not like it, but rolling is fine. Effing smart. Oh yeah, well, it's funny. The big pushback for the Harry Potter game or Hogwarts, Travis, was because someone said, how could you do this? And she says, I looked at my last residual check. I'm just fine, which is so like, right? I'm fine. Basically saying that, yeah, whatever you do, don't worry about it. I'm good if you don't buy my stuff. I tried to explain the Sony stuff again in Discord. Too long for YouTube chat. I would just explain things better. If not, I will keep bashing my head. Did you put it inside the general? Did you put it inside the other one? General gaming. I'll read it later. I'll read it later. My prediction of the first episode of Mando and Grogu goes to Mandalore, and Mando gets the respect back from all the Mandalorians, and then Bo-Katan, and then fighting for the dark saber. Yeah, I forgot about the saber thing. See, I haven't watched in such a long time. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, technically, he has we still don't know what happened after they handed off the kid back to Luke in that episode, because Bo-Katan and all of them were on the ship. And then we leave episode or season 2, and then in episode or Boba Fett we see Mando again, but we don't know what happened because he has the sword, and we don't know what all happens there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Like the very beginning of the show should probably fill us in the gap there, you know? Can't use YouTube. Disney's on YouTube. Well, no, they don't own YouTube though. They don't own YouTube. Yeah, DC is HBO. Yeah, but they just signed a deal. HBO Discovery just signed a deal with Netflix to put some of the what did they call it? The outside verse, whatever, the ones that don't connect directly into the next phase that James Gunn has, they're going to be putting those shows on Netflix. I never watched Proud Family, but I saw what they did. I heard what they did. I watched the videos of it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. No, I didn't forget about Giancarlo. What I'm saying is I want to know what they did on that ship. After they handed off Grogu to Luke, they're all sitting on the ship, right? We don't know anything. Gina Carano's character is not there, right? Cara Dune, she's not there anymore, right? She was on the ship, right? Bo-Katan's character and them, they're on the ship, right? All of them are on the ship, but we don't know what happened because there was a lot of tension there, right? It was cut off because they're handing Grogu off to Luke, but he has the sword that he just got, and she was supposed to get it, but now she can't take it from him, so they have to fight to the death. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. So is that tonight? No, it's at 3:00 this morning, right? 3:00 in the a.m. I'll have to watch it tomorrow morning. I'll watch it tomorrow morning probably. Still pissed that the Kara said wasn't anywhere near as bad as what Pedro said. I know, I know. Again, I don't want to get into like political views or anything like that. They said rumors that she might come back, but they also said they might recast her, and I was like, I don't know, because there was supposed to be a whole show, that whole separate show. What was it called? Rebel Fighters? No, what was it called? It would be interesting if they made a not that I would really be excited about it, but it would be really funny if they made like Chips back in the day, but they made it with the X-Wing. Like there's two officers going around the galaxy and they get into little scenarios and whatnot. Star Wars Rebels was a fantastic show, Travis. You can look it up, Jason. I would say don't put it in chat, Travis. Don't put it in chat. You can look it up. It was a tweet, and basically, Jason, if you voted one way, then you were a Hitler fan. Let's just put it that way. Bo-Katan wants the dark saber, and she wants the saber next Lord of Mandalorian. Right. Well, of course. But she has to fight him. She has to fight him to get it. She can't just be handed to it. And he was like, here, have it. And she's like, I can't take it from you. I have to fight you in combat. Rangers of the New Republic. Thank you. Yeah, she was supposed to be in that show with the other two pilots or whatnot, and it was supposed to follow them around. So it's sad that that's not happening now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have a question. Would you guys like that one day a week, maybe not every week, but one day a week at night, instead of me playing games, would you rather me go on Nerding with 30 and do a live show where not really a review of the show, but more of just entertainment stories and news? Or would you rather me just do uploads of information like that on that channel? Because I'm going to do uploads, but would you rather me do a live talk one day a week? The problem with that is that I'm taking time away from this channel when I do it live. Yes, please do that. Mando Talk with 30. Well, it would be Mando Talk, but it wouldn't be a dedicated show for that stealth. It would be more of a we could talk about it, but it wouldn't be like what I did before. It wouldn't be a podcast about just Mando. It'd be more of entertainment, like I did last week when we talked about Quantumania losing money or not doing very good at the box office. Just entertainment news. Because the problem is, if I do live there and I'm there two hours a week, there's no way to. I don't get monetization on that channel at all, and I also don't. You can't like special thanks, super chats, nothing. That's just 2 hours of my time. So if 8 people show up or 30 people show up, it's just kind of like whatever. I get nothing from it. And I know it sounds harsh, but if I make content, I need to make content where if it goes live afterwards, like this even makes ad revenue and stuff afterwards. You know what I mean? What if you start the new podcast with Sarge that only focuses on movies, TV shows, and news with that? That would ask Sarge to take more time out of what he does, like because he's had his own life. And I don't think I can get that. If we can get somebody else to join in and have conversations like that, the problem is like what we did before, like Krebsy would call in and stuff. That's cool and stuff. But because I would talk to Krebsy online because I know his microphone's good. But a lot of people that would call in, we don't know if they have a good microphone. Like if, what's it called? Oh God, I forget his name now. We had Duke, and we had, I can't think of his name. That's terrible. Gritter. Thank you. I knew it started with a G. Yeah, Gritter would always call in. Like all of them had good microphones, so we were okay talking with each week. El Dente's like, I'm ready. You want to do it? I'll talk. I'll protect kids. Pedro, I'm gonna be a human trafficker. Would have put it past him. Sarge has a life outside of you. Yeah. I would love to talk with Sarge about stuff like this. I would love to talk about a podcast where me and Sarge don't talk anything about video games at all. Just bullshitting. Can we have an IRL stream of day in life of Sarge? It's not that exciting. Still have a morning? Yeah. I would still have the morning. I do this now, Travis. I do 4 days in the evening and 4 days in the day. It's just 4 days. I do 8 hours, or actually 2 hours in the morning, and then I do about 2 to 4 hours at night based on gameplay or podcast. I used to do a lot more, but it wasn't worth it. It's much easier, especially for a channel my size. I get better. Nothing against anyone that comes and watches the live streams, but I get better revenue from just uploading a video than me sitting here for 2 hours talking. I do this because I like sitting here and interacting with chat. Right? Like my videos that I put up that I only get a couple 200, 300, I still make more off that, and then the long run, right? And then some channels bring in revenue where if I'm here just talking, right, I do that because I like doing it. I like interacting with chat and having conversations like this. It can be embellished. Yeah, he's a fighter pilot. He does drag racing. He's a man of many things. Did you hear about John Barthol said about the upcoming Punisher show reboot? I did not. Did they officially say there's a reboot of the show? They even made a Google phone number. You can get ones with bad mics to use the phone, which would then sound good on stream. But couldn't they just use Discord on their phone and do the exact same thing? Don't get me into brainstorming. I mean, I just did. I mean, couldn't they just use the Discord on their phone? The way it sounds on Discord sounds weird, but I can control them on Discord. Like if you use Discord and talk through Discord through a Gritter did that. Gritter used to use Discord on his phone because he would say, "Oh, my phone died. I had to plug it in." Like he would talk through Bluetooth and it sounded fine. And then I can bring in as much or as little as loud or whatever. Yes, in 2025, and John said if you put woke shit in, I'm out. Punisher would be a definite say to trans Yes, but wouldn't approve of it. I was happy with understanding who the Punisher is. Well, that's good. That's good news. And that is also a way to do it. I'm thinking for people with bad headsets / microphones. Right, but what I'm saying is you don't need a headset or microphone for the Discord on your phone. You literally just hold it up to your head and talk. But you would have to press a button. You would have to press a button when you talk, or if it's just when you speak. Yeah, but it's still iffy. You're right though. The Google thing might be an option. Or we do a test, and the people that I know that are going to talk on the show, we just test their microphones. Because I would take questions just like we did the text questions, like we used to do that as well. All right. Yeah, if you have any other ideas, we have a feedback section in my Discord, and anyone that's watching, that's open up to anybody. So if you want to give me feedback, and I truly mean this, because I'll read your feedback. Doesn't mean I'll change, but I see what you said, and I can make adjustments and whatnot. But go to the feedback channel in my Discord. If you like a show, good feedback, bad feedback, all feedback is welcome, because feedback makes me a better streamer. And if I become a better streamer, then you get better content, right? So if you guys have any ideas that you would like to put in, throw it in the feedback channel. I like the interaction. I like, the more people in chat, the better it is for everybody, right? Better it is for me because I keep talking. Better it is for you because you're more entertained, and so on and so forth. I'll read your feedback before shredding it, right? Yeah, exactly. Just because you submit it doesn't mean I have to do it, but you submitting it and me reading it, Oh man, new section, feedback with 30 from the toilet. Good feedback we keep. Bad feedback we flush. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Here's the feedback. You best do it on. Best do it on YouTube. That's simple. You need to paint the back wall cherry red when you put the big Captain Marvel logo in the center. I mean, I could put something there. I'm not painting the walls. I'm not painting the walls. I used to have a red room. It was my theater room in my other house. I can't even hang anything. This wall here, I don't want to damage the walls because I could put the stick strips on there to hang stuff, but this house was built in 1942, and that wall behind me is slats and plaster. That's not drywall. So I don't want to put anything on the walls that I have to actually repair afterwards. You know what I mean? So I could get put posters and stuff on the walls. I might do that. Don't put politics in comics. No, that's a difference though, Travis. That when someone says don't put politics in comics, and then there could be politics in comics, but don't what's the word? Don't put yourself into comics, right? Like if you are whatever, and then you write the comics to represent the person that's writing the comics. Now, Stanley and them used to put there and was based around, right? And that's the thing, but just don't force it down someone's throat to try to preach to it. You could make a storyline around it, okay? But when you start preaching and gaslighting, that's where people have a problem. Actual lead paint, yeah, basically. Like if they ever change, if I swear to God, this is where I'll draw the line. If they actually go through with changing X-Men, if they change X-Men because it says men in it, okay? and they call it X people or they say mutants, right? If that's the new thing going forward, I'm out. I'm out. Because the people that don't understand what X-Men, it's like humanity, men, right? Of course there's women in X-Men, but if they change it, I'm out. I'm out. You can call me sexist or misogynistic, but that's not why I'm leaving. It's not why I'm leaving. It's because people that are in charge of brands that we love don't know what the hell they're doing or anything about it. Right, exactly. Right? They think men means human males, right? I mean, look at Storm. She's one of the best Marvel characters, and she calls herself an X-Men. Exactly. Exactly. The people that say the other things, Travis, literally have no idea what they're talking about, or they don't understand what X-Men means, or the comics, or the characters, or the personalities, or anything like that. They're trying to take themselves and put it into the and put it into the thing. That's the one franchise that I would just lose. They're hovering on Transformers right now because they literally put the first non-binary Transformer into Transformers in the comics, and I'm like, we won't go into that. Yeah, I loved it. I love both the South Park. We talked about this last week. Yeah, we talked about both things. How you're fighting baby Nazis inside of South Park, and no one was upset about it. Why? Because it's a video game. All right, we're gonna leave it there. I appreciate it. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if we're gonna play games tonight. I was thinking about trying out Battlefield 2042 tonight, the update, to see what the new map is and whatnot. But then I was also thinking about maybe trying out SnowRunners update. But I don't know if I want to do that either. And then I was thinking about just playing more Hogwarts and try to get through the second playthrough of Hogwarts Legacy. But I'll let you guys know. You'll see the post in the announcement section on our Twitter. You guys have a wonderful day. Have a great rest of your day. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you like this type of content, please hit that like button. And if you don't like it, I don't know why you've been here this long. It baffles me if you've been here this long and you hate the content. So, but I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.